I mean, the only person we can vote for in an unqualified way would be Jesus. And he ain't asking for votes, he's demanding submission. And so, anytime that we are recommending someone, we're recommending a fallen human being. And we have to take seriously their fallenness, which is to say, we're recommending someone, and I think we have to reasonably expect they're going to fail at some things and they're going to succeed at some things. And we're voting for someone whose positions we may not agree with up and down the line. I mean, that's almost impossible to find. And so, therefore, our votes aren't merely a matter of saying, or aren't primarily a matter of saying, I'm voting for this person and everything they stand for. Usually, we're being more instrumental than that. We're saying, here's a key issue or a key set of issues on which I agree with this person. And for that reason, and because those issues, in my view, outweigh other sets of issues that their opponent may be standing for, I'm voting for this person. So you could vote for Donald Trump because you believe that we need tighter immigration. And in your mind, that's the biggest thing going right now is immigration concerns and the safety concerns that may grow up out of that. But you may find reprehensible his view of women, for example, and the comments he's made about women, or you may find that his trade policy is reckless. So if you were casting a vote for Donald Trump, say for Supreme Court nominees, that doesn't mean you're all the way down the line endorsing everything that Trump stands for. And the same would be true of Clinton and any candidate, local or national, that's running. And so I think oftentimes people say, hey, you vote for a person, you're endorsing, I saw a preacher just recently say, you're not only endorsing everything that person stands for, but you're also endorsing everything in the party's platform. And that's just manipulation. That's just false. Nobody's actually doing that except dyed-in-the-wool, die-hard partisans who actually believe in the platform. That's just false. And I would encourage people to enjoy the liberty of thinking through things more carefully and voting as a matter of sort of conscience and how they understand the scripture. Responsibilities of freedom have often been symbolized very powerfully in the push for the right to vote, right? The franchisement. But that's a particular expression of a bigger principle of freedom. And that freedom has to include the right to vote or not vote, right? And I think the second thing we have to do is not only sort of hold that principle of freedom in mind, but then you have to sort of ask yourself, what action actually best honors that freedom and honors those who came along and got that freedom for us, right? And that might be voting. But if you're in an election where actually you're looking at a couple of candidates, neither of whom actually, hold the value that you're looking to honor, it might be not voting. So just hypothetically, if you're voting between Donald Trump and David Duke, well, I'm not positively casting a vote for either of those cats, right? And so both freedom and honor of that history and that tradition might mean that actually you need to run for office rather than vote, right? So I just think we want to be reminded as African Americans that what we fought for is freedom, and we want to have an expansive idea of freedom and how to express it as it relates to, say, an election or what have you. So the right to vote became symbolic of that freedom in a very powerful way, but it wasn't the sort of begin all and end all of freedom, right? It's this important symbolic trope, but it's not all of it. And even how we use now that right has to serve not only the broad cause of freedom, but the sort of principles that sort of undergird it and maintain it. And we may find ourselves at crossroads where actually the responsible thing to that history is not to vote for the particular candidates that are running, who would abuse that legacy, who would misuse that legacy, who would usurp that legacy, or who would roll back against that legacy.